So Anthem had one of the most pathetic launches we've ever seen, a famous example of how these games-as-a-service titles often feel more like a beta than a finished product at launch, even though they charge you the same price as a real finished product. And it was developed by Bioware, one of the most beloved studios in the industry, which made it extra sad. But as always with these types of games, fans were reassured that when the game launched, it was just the beginning. You're investing in an experience that is going to be built and expanded upon for years to come. Well, it was more like months. As quickly the game stopped receiving major updates. One of my favorite stories to come out of this game was when people were discussing how they still had the Christmas decorations up in the game in February. Yeah, with a dwindling player base, many assumed the writing was on the wall early on for the game, but then a director on the game came out and said, no, we're not updating the game because we've got something even bigger planned, making the announcement early last year that the game is going to receive a complete rework, essentially a remake of the game that just released in 2019. In the post, they admitted the game lacked fundamental gameplay elements. Didn't stop them from releasing it for a full $60 price tag, but they admitted it needed massive amounts of work, and they were committed to do right by the players. Now, over a year has passed since they made that announcement, with no real updates on the progress of Anthem Next or Anthem 2.0, and many had begun to speculate if this was even happening at this point. And yesterday, we got our official word. Christian Daly, the director of Bioware Austin, came out and said, quote, "Friends, oh, not gamers. In the spirit of transparency and closure, we wanted to share that we've made the difficult decision to stop our new development work on Anthem, aka Anthem Next. We will, however, continue to keep the Anthem live service running as it exists today." He goes on to list a bunch of excuses. Obviously, COVID was one of them. Yeah, I'm sure you guys put a ton of work into this and are just throwing it in the garbage now. Yeah, right. And of course, they mentioned that this is going to allow them to focus on games like Mass Effect and Dragon Age. Stuff that can actually make money, which, that makes sense. Right off the bat, I gotta say, what makes this hilarious to me, I don't even know if I should say this, call these people out. Just recently, with people starting to raise concern about not hearing anything about Anthem Next for so long, fans of the game have started this little hashtag I believe in Anthem campaign on social media, posting like all this stuff about how the game's so great or going to be so great, hashtag I believe in Anthem. They're showing they have faith in the future of this game. Oh, if I was someone who tweeted that, I'd delete it immediately and hope no one remembers. That's embarrassing. It's like, how did you not expect this is where things were going? For the rest of us, insert pretends to be shocked gif here, right? I said in a video when this Anthem Next thing was first announced that it didn't make any sense for them to dump a bunch of money into this dead game. Yes, I think it'd be nice, for the players who invested in it, but the time to do big things, if they were going to do them, was in, the first year. By the time they even announced Anthem Next, they'd already lost pretty much everyone, and how many are really even going to come back after being so burnt by this game? Also, it's EA we're talking about here. Are people really expecting them to do, right by the players? Which, I want to make it clear that I'm still in the Team Bioware camp here, not as much as I've been in the past, but I do put total blame of this disaster on EA. Yes, Bioware has had a ton of issues in recent years. Yes, many of the people who made the studio great aren't there anymore. But we know at the end of the day, EA are the ones actually calling the shots. Anthem from day one did not look like a Bioware game. I remember seeing it and being like, this is the next game from the famous RPG studio? An online looter shooter, basically like Destiny in third person, and you fly around like Iron Man. It's obvious EA just wanted to get into the games as a service business, get that money. I don't believe for a second this game would have been made by BioWare if they weren't under EA's control. And we know the development of this game took resources off Mass Effect Andromeda. In fact, had a similar situation where no updates, DLC in that came. So even though this stuff is all made by Bioware, I think EA's involvement with decision-making is the reason all these things turned out this way. You know, they also did Dragon Age Inquisition relatively recently, which is a traditional RPG, and that game I thought was actually really good. And when it comes to these announcements, oh, we're going to remake the game, just kidding, we're not doing anything with it anymore, those choices are also made solely by EA. It's not like BioWare is choosing where and when to spend EA's money. It doesn't work like that. So with this communication as well, I blame EA. Which this is pretty messed up. Not only did you choose to ship this incomplete garbage and give the standard, oh well, this is just the beginning, the game's gonna grow and get better over time, like everyone else does with games as a service titles. Not only did you do that, not only did you lie there, you basically did it twice, right? You had the initial time when the game launched. Again, like I said, many games as a service title do this. But then you stopped those updates, then you came out and made even bigger promises. Again, the thing's going to get essentially a remake, and stunningly, that turned out to also be a total lie. I mean, I gotta be honest with you, I struggle to understand why people trust at all in some of these companies anymore. Like, even in this situation, while it's terrible for EA to act like this, to handle things like this, as the age-old saying goes, it's like, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So there are two outcomes I'm really hoping we can salvage out of this mess. Number one, fanboys. Can you stop going along with the excuses for these games as a service cash grabs? Every time one comes out, people like me review the games, do videos on them, criticize them for being incomplete, and these idiots always, without fail, with the exact same line parroted over and over again. The game just came out, you gotta wait for it to get better. I mean, I guess that's fine that you believe in these companies so much, but I don't. Most people don't. Most people, after you're burned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 100 times, they wise up. I'm totally down with the idea of adding to a game, making it better over time. That's great, that's awesome. But when I pay $60 for a game at launch, and I gotta say, I find this nuts, that this is controversial to some people, but when I buy that game, even at launch, pay $60 for it, I expect a $60 experience, listen closely, that day. Not a few months from then, not a few years from then. If the game needs more time to feel like a complete experience, then these companies need to wait longer to take my money for it. I want to play a complete game, again, hammer it home, day one when I buy it. A lot of people will say, oh, you're being entitled, you're being ungrateful. No, I don't think it's too much to ask for what I pay for when I pay for it. Once more, if they want to give me more beyond that later, I love it. I'll praise them for that. But I want to get my money's worth right out of the gate, because too many times do I see this. The promises of, oh, you know, you're investing in a long-term experience, and it never comes. So as we continue to get more and more of these examples, hopefully the fanboys will stop defending these practices so much, but I don't know, I doubt it. Even more doubtful, these companies, EA, you're honestly letting your greed get in the way of you actually making money. You straight up sacrificed your name, definitely BioWare's name, to release this garbage. People do not look at the BioWare name the same since Andromeda and Anthem. That's just a fact. But you didn't even get a bunch of money out of it. You lost money on Anthem. You would have done better if you just left them alone. Let them focus on like Mass Effect and Dragon Age and not try to shoehorn in this cash grab, you know, looter shooter, something I would never even think of when it comes to BioWare. We're actually seeing a similar situation play out with Square Enix, losing all that money on Avengers, made by Crystal Dynamics. Also another example of fanboys telling me, oh, the game's gonna be great. Just wait till they get all the new characters in there. Yeah, so far you got Girl Hawkeye and Male Hawkeye. Yeah, that's really gonna bring people in droves. But yeah, the Square Enix investors have been pissed that that game's losing money, which I'd be too. How do you lose money with the Avengers IP? I mean, that's kind of impressive that you managed to do that. But yeah, the games as a service greed is actually costing you money as less and less people are falling for this crap. Like I said, you're going to be able to string some people along, but it's like most people, after they've been burned numerous times, they just know to stay away. And I mean, you look at something like Jedi Fallen Order, done by Respawn, also under the EA umbrella. We heard leading up to release that EA was being much more hands-off on that game, probably largely due to the Battlefront 2 drama with the loot boxes. And shocker, you left a great studio alone, and they made a great game. It not only sells, makes money, but it also improves your name value. I'm pumped to play the inevitable sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. I'm excited to see what Respawn does next. Meanwhile, while I want to be excited for like the next Mass Effect game, I'm much more cautious and will definitely wait till I see many reviews on that game because BioWare's name's been tarnished. There's intrinsic value to the way people see your studios and franchises' names, and you're going to need to do a lot of work rebuilding especially BioWare's name after all this. Anyway, with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on EA's confirmation that they lied all along about the future of Anthem in the comments. How do you feel about the company essentially trying to pull one over on players not once but twice, as well as what are your thoughts on the entire games as a service model as a whole, as we've seen a few of them play out over recent years? Do you feel like these companies are doing even more harm by sort of sacrificing their name value with these awful practices? As always, I'm the Shy Guy, Johnny Zakari, and thanks for watching.